You ready for a tech tour of one of the biggest churches in Tulsa, Oklahoma? Well, in this video, we get a tour of Victory Church's front of house setup. You'll learn how they achieve not only a great room mix, but one of the best live stream mixes that we've heard. You'll be shocked to find out how they do both with just one mixer and one sound engineer. So without further ado, let's get into the tour of Victory. Victory Church is led by Pastor Paul Doherty, and I've always admired how they do things. They're a huge church, yet when you go there, it feels like family. But that's not to say they don't do things with a high level of excellence, because let me tell you, they do. And they're an inspiration from all fronts, and it was just a huge privilege to get an inside look at how they create great sound. So let's jump into my conversation with their production manager, Chris Trowbridge. All right, man, so I'm curious how you mix your live stream mix. Do you have like another broadcast mixer somewhere, or what's going on?
No, so actually it all comes off of this console. It's our house mix that's happening in the room, but then we add audience mics to it, and we also process it together, the audience mics and that two-track mix together through Waves. So we have a chain that's kind of happening in there, and then we send it to online. That's how it works.
You know, that's shocking. I wouldn't expect a church this size to use bus mixes for their live stream.
Yeah.
I mean, pan around this room and see how big this place is. How many, like, what's your membership here? Like, let's say, what's your attendance here at your fullest service?
Yeah, so we have about 2,500 in our fullest service. Room seats a little under 3,400. And so, but we do have all of our Easter productions, Christmas productions, you know, those big weekends that we have. We're full all the way up to the rafters, and then the overflow rooms, all that. And this mix is what goes there. It goes in the hallways, goes to the overflows, goes to the stream. And, we're pleased with it. It's tough to get, a whole nother broadcast position up and going, having a person back there, the financial investment to keep all of that equipment up and going, keep it relevant. And we work hard on this mix out here to really make it, translate and come across the way we want our band to sound. Mm-hmm. And our band definitely has a style and a sound to it, and we like the way that the mix comes across. So it just makes sense for us to keep it that way.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you heard it. I'm always teaching you guys, to use bus mixes for your live stream mix, and even the big churches do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's pretty cool. So is everything set post fader, or how do you have that configured on here?
Yeah, everything is post fader. I don't think anything's pre-fader because the way we switch some of our lobby. And then we do have, so for the online church portion, we do have a studio back there. So we have a couple people talking on mics, that sort of thing. So there's a small console back there that will switch between this mix and then the studio mix. And they do a little bit of traffic control there. So I don't need to worry about anything being up and pre-fader kind of in that mix.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it's all post-fader. It's exactly what you hear. And there's a little bit of a dance that happens with that, but we make it work.
Awesome. Well, let's get a close-up and he can show us what he's doing to the broadcast mix, the processing that you're doing.
Yeah, so this is our broadcast chain here in Waves. First thing is the Sapphira on here. And then we go into an F6. This is doing kind of a shimmer, just a top-end boost. If you hear it on a laptop or a phone, you can really kind of hear some of that in there. Well, also, I'll add that we mix pretty dark in the room. The PA is dark, so when we brighten it up online, it's really compensating and trying to get it close to flat, if not just a little bit above in the top end. CLA, the mix down, we love this plugin. We use it on a few different things. Ironically, we have an SSL console, but we have an SSL comp. We just switched to this L500, and the L200 that we had on here did not have enough processing to add the built-in SSL comp on the broadcast chain. So that's why it's in here, and we just haven't changed it. It works. Into an L3, and then a little bit of imaging. We're just spreading it a little bit wider.
So for people who don't know, like what some of these are, like explain, like what does the Sapphira do exactly?
Sapphira is I believe it's a saturation plugin. It's creating harmonic distortion. So you can kind of look up some of what this does, but that's basically a harmonic distortion plugin. The F6 is an active EQ basically. So you set the parameters, it will dip, it will expand, it will do all kinds of different things. It has 6 different frequencies, selections. You can, it's a compressor for an EQ. This is kind of an overall polish thing. We use this mostly for this little button right here called glue, and I couldn't tell you what's happening in there. Maybe Chris Lord Alge could tell you, but I don't know what's happening in there. This is just tapping just a bit, maybe 2 or 3 dB. This is a compressor. The L3 is like a major squash. Like you can really get out of control with this thing. And so this is a limiter. We're setting where our ceiling is, and this is what really gets everything sounding polished. Like just it's the finished product. We are slamming it quite a bit. This is pretty heavy, but you can really destroy a mix with that. So we monitor that for sure. And then this is just taking your left and right and making the image sound wider. It's basically turning down that phantom center channel a little bit, making it sound like it's spread out a little bit more. And that's that. We have audience mics. We have 6 audience mics. We have 4 hanging mics in the room, so they're just kind of dangling from our catwalk here. Mm-hmm. Then we have 2 shotgun mics that are on the stage pointed at the front rows and maybe a few rows back just to get some clapping, that sort of thing.
Level-wise, what would you say like the mix is? Like, is it a lot more of the shotguns and less of what's hanging overhead, or is it about even? What would be your guess?
This is basically how they're configured in the mix, so these faders. And we set them post-fader so we can just, from the main mix page, turn them up and down. Mm-hmm. So the 2 centers are the hottest in the mix. The shotguns are buried. The centers are omnis. The outers are cardioid. Mm. And then obviously shotguns. So it's kind of how they're configured, and we just played around with the way it sounded. Listening to mixes, we record our mixes over here, and we'll take them. I listen to them in my truck, and so it's like every weekend I mix, go sit in the truck and listen to whatever little tiny little change it is that we made. Listen to it on a phone, listen to it on a laptop. I'll go back. I'll take a Monday or a Tuesday, and I listen to the service from the weekend before, and just listen to those little changes. What are the little things that are not happening? Are the MC mics, the cleanup mics, that kind of thing. Pastor's mic, where does that sit with the band? All that sort of thing. How do we get that right? There's a little bit happening in that bus mix for the broadcast, where the band is dropped about 3 dB in there, and then the handheld mics are brought up above that, so they do sit above the band, so the band doesn't ever override. So there's a couple little tricks happening in there. So there is a mix bus. But it's still pretty much a copy of what's happening in here. It's just trying to make it make sense for an online audience.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So those audience mics, you have 4 of them hanging. What's the panning like on those? Do you have like a hard pan left, hard pan right, and then 2 in the center?
Let's look. It's been a minute. So these are not as hard, and I think these are hard. Yeah.
Okay.
So pretty much how they're kind of laid out, and then these are similar.
Looks like we have like a 25% hard pan and a 25% hard pan.
Yeah.
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 And then the shotguns, are they hard?
They're just offset by a little.
Yeah, about 25%.
Yeah. These are a little 45% maybe.
Yeah.
And then these are 100%.
Okay.
The outers. there's a way to time align your audio using a balloon and a microphone. And so time aligning your audience mics to your console mix. And that's what we did in here. So you set up a microphone on the stage and you use a balloon, you blow it up and pop it, but it's a consistent source. And so you record that basically into a DAW, a Logic, whatever, however you can get your audio out of your console. So you record the audience mics and your 2-track mix, your console mix, which is what the microphone is for. And you record at what times that balloon pop makes it to those mics. And your furthest audience mic is 0.0, like that's your ears, that's 0. Everything else is delayed to that.
Okay.
And so everything will arrive at the same time. It'll tighten up your room. So if you just put audience mics in a broadcast mix and just turn them up, you'll have a lot of reflection and echo. It'll make the room sound bigger even than it is too, but it's because you've got the PA sound hitting the mic and you've got the room sound hitting the mic, and everything's kind of hitting it at different times. So if you can align that up, it will make your room sound tight. And you can also boost those audience mics up probably 5 to 10 more dB in your mix and not notice them because it's dead on with your PA mix, So that's what we did. It's been a long time since we did that, but those ratios, those values still remain the same. And you just use the delay feature on your channel and make sure that delay feature carries into whatever your mix bus is for your broadcast mix. And it was like golden bullet. So,
nice.
Yeah.
We'll have to look that up and do a video on that.
Yes.
Specifically.
Yes.
Record the process. All right. So question about vocal tuning. Do you tune the vocals? And if you do, is that just for the broadcast mix or do you do it in the room too?
Yeah. So we tune the vocal and it's everywhere. So it's in the room for the broadcast mix. And, I realize it's a taboo subject, but yeah, we definitely do it. And I've noticed a huge improvement. We don't do it heavily. Some of the real noticeable heavy correction, all of our tuning is real slow. And the key to the tuning for us has been programming it, MIDI cues for snapshots. So it changes song to song. Mm-hmm. And if you don't hit those things right, you're going to be hearing it, But it took a little bit of a time to, I think, introduce it to the band. And there's just that relational factor there with having built relationship with the band, your worship pastors and your leaders, and going, hey, I'd like to try something, and you may have seen this on, some fails video, but I believe we can do it right. And there's a lot of churches that are doing it. And so a little bit of trial and error. We've never had a major mishap in a service, where something like that's happened. So yeah, it does exist, and we have it on the vocals. I'll just show you some of the basic settings here.
So you're using waves.
So it's waves tune, yeah. And we have it queued to fire on snapshot, so I can change keys per snapshot. And you can do this, I believe, on most consoles now. You can send MIDI cues out over USB to your Wave server computer and put it in there as a MIDI cue.
Cool. So parameters here, he's got speed set to 31.5, note transition to 74.3. I'm sure you can see all that on the camera, but wanted to point that out.
Yep.
Well, before we go to the stage, walk us through a vocal channel. I'm just curious how you're processing what your compressor looks like and that sort of thing.
Yeah. So vocals. So it starts with EQ is in the desk. From there, we don't use onboard compression on here, even though they are fantastic. We have liked a vocal chain that's in waves. So from there, it goes to this insert. Starts with an NLS. This is another harmonic distortion plugin, and I would encourage you, if you have access to waves, this is a great plugin. There's a lot of magic that happens in this, and even this one, mic and then mic 32. This preset up here, I love that one. So these are at different levels on different people, how much we're sending into them. So anyway, send into a PSE. This is an expander. This just clean up a little bit of that potential if we're running it too hot, if it's feedback, that sort of thing. Any hiss that you may induce in the microphone. This just pulls down some of that 6 dB reduction, and then allows it to open. F6, this is a must-have. This is a staple now, I feel like, in mixing. Consoles now have them built in, these active EQs. Allen & Heath, I know, has some built in. So anyway, so F6. We do a little bit of, it's not de-essing, but it's catching some of the shrill frequencies in like a female vocalist. They have this high top end. If they really dig into a mic or they go high on a part, this will kind of catch some of that stuff. And then this 2 to 4K is really where some of those ice pick frequencies are, and we'll carve out some of that stuff. But we do it with an active EQ. Into a 76, this is hitting about 5 dB of reduction max. And then this has an attack and release on it. So when you set, this plug-in, this compressor has attack and release on it, which allows it to be a quicker compressor. Goes into the 2A, which does not have an attack and release. It's built in. And this one is a pretty slow compressor, but it is a nice, just kind of clean-up compressor. So this is a stacking. Same thing here, probably about 3 to 4, maybe 5 dB of reduction on that. This is here if we need it, sibilance. So this is attacks some of the S-ing, and we'll just toggle this up and down depending on the person, and into tune last. Some people put tune at the top. We have it last. Haven't experimented with it in one position versus another, but it seems to work for us here. So that's the vocal chain, and it's just copied for each vocal. We have 6 wireless mics, singing wireless mics. Then our pastor also leads worship, so he has a channel that we process him through. This is not, it's another channel on the console. Same mic, we just dual patch it. And so his preaching mic is set up for his talking voice and preaching. But if he ever transitions to a song, which he does quite frequently, if he plays at the piano or starts singing at altar, you just switch up to that pastor mic. He's in tune with the band. He's mixed like a singer. He falls into that, and even in our broadcast mix, like he'll fall back into that line because his pastor mic is boosted a little bit in the broadcast mix. So it's kind of just is another way to mix broadcast with him and then make it all sound cohesive.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. It works. We do it in all our different venues. We have actually like 6, 7 venues here.
So that's how you handle a singing pastor.
That's how you handle a singing pastor. Just double up his channel.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let me jump in for a second and comment on how Victory is processing their vocals. It's amazing, isn't it? And they sound great. But maybe that overwhelmed you a bit because you don't have all that processing available that they do. Well, don't worry, because you can still make your vocals sound great with an entry-level digital mixer like the X32. I walk you through the 5 simple steps to perfect vocals in my on-demand webinar. Get access for free at collaborateworship.com. All right, let's continue our tour.
This is a Roscoe, and I don't know the model number of it, but you can go look it up. I want to say ballet or something like that. Floor.
This rolls out.
Yeah, this is in rolls. The black underneath is kind of like an install version of this.
Okay.
It's just black. And so they glued it down. We didn't heat weld it. They do there's a special weld. The company said not to do it on our specific floor because of part of it's wood, part of it's concrete. And so the way it would move, like the heat weld thing makes the whole thing move as one. He's like, it would probably crack apart if you drove a lift on it or something. So we ended up not doing that. But yeah, so that, and then the risers, those white sections that are on the risers, that's just white, what do you call that? Board from Home Depot.
All right, so a few questions about your monitoring. I see you have some floor wedges up here. I assume most of your musicians, or all your musicians, probably have in-ears.
Yeah.
So what are the floor wedges for?
Floor wedges are for our pastor. So because he's a singing pastor, there's moments where he needs to hear, the keys or be in with the band. And so we do just kind of a real basic mix for him in here. He also wants to hear his mic and the fullness of his mic. Because of the way our build out, the stage build out is happening, he's not getting the fullness, like from the PA, not hearing his voice. There's also a pretty wicked delay between our systems, so you kind of hear your voice, so this helps keep him in line, just hearing himself in real time without that delay. So there's one there, there's two here, and then we also have this one up here in the steps. And this one he uses pretty heavily. If you ever walk around up here with a mic, you'll kind of feel and hear how it kind of flows between these wedges into that wedge. We got it pretty balanced.
That's just a TV sound bar right there, right? Just go get that at Best Buy.
It's actually not. It's a column speaker, and we had it out in our lobby for we have this big like TV wall out there that does like announcements and stuff, but we had like missions footage happening on it, so they needed audio. So they created this, kind of immersive experience, and then we did away with it. And we found that we were like, wait, that would work for that. And it's got like some good low end response in it. It holds up to a live environment. So yeah, not just a TV speaker. It has like an actual like column speaker.
Cool.
So it's pretty powerful.
So is there ever more floor wedges than the 3 up here?
No. That's it. Our choir, we have flown wedges.
Somewhere
Where
up
did they
there.
go? They're up there somewhere. So we have flown wedges. When we're not doing this look, we have choir in the center and the band is off to the sides, and the choir will stand there, and then we have flown wedges that come right down on them so they can hear.
Cool.
Yeah. So I try to keep the deck as clean as we can. And so like doing flown wedges, like even during our productions, Easter, and we have all these theatrics happening, they heavily rely on those flown speakers. And then we do some down kind of in the front row, but it's more just the flown stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So as far as the band's in-ear monitoring, are you mixing that from back there? Do they do it themselves? How's that working?
I am not. I'm fortunate that I don't have to do that. And we have a separate monitor console backstage that handles all the different mixes. Some are stereo, some are mono, and so we can talk about kind of what that looks like backstage. Yeah.
All right, so you have another guy or gal sitting back here.
Yeah.
Running all the band's in-ears. Just one person doing.
Yeah. So this position will do all the band's in-ears, and fortunately, we're not building mixes from scratch every weekend. We have a pretty consistent flow of the same musicians. And so you learn over time who likes what, and you can look in Planning Center and say, okay, it's this guy on drums, it's this guy, and you can kind of basically set some things. So this position does this. This is an L200 back here. We have all of our packs over here. And last time I checked, I think we had like 16 possible intermixes, but we don't put them all out. So we have all of our singers up here on top. So this is all 6 of those singers. We do use DPA capsules on a few of them. I love those. That's the 4018, I think, the linear one. This is a talkback mic here. And then our pastor's mic, the 2 MC mics, and then our pastor's headset here. These are the band mixes here. We have one of our keys positioned is hardwired SurePack, and so it's just got the adapter cable on it, and that position never moves. And so just to clean up, overuse of RF, all that kind of thing, we have one of them's hardwired. So engineer pack, this is for another person, if there's another person back here assisting, so like an A2 back here, they'll throw on that engineer pack.
Do all the vocals share like the same instrumental mix, and then you just bring up their vocal over that, or is it completely custom for each vocalist?
It's
depending
custom
on what they
for
like?
each vocalist.
All right.
Now the singer mixes are in mono, the band mixes are in stereo. So a little bit of a cost savings there, just to purchase less units less art. It's just the whole thing. You can put our particular system, you can put in mixed mode, so you can run one transmitter can run to 2 receivers, 2 packs. So that's how we do that. The singers in mono.
So they're hearing a completely mono mix in their in-ears. Singers are?
They are, yeah.
Okay. That didn't bother anybody?
They got over it.
Okay.
But it's their only choice.
That was your only choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. That's good to hear, because I know a lot of people will, in small churches, they'll want to have all the in-ears in stereo. And like we use P16s. I don't know if you've seen those personal mixers.
Yeah.
And so those have a stereo mix, so everybody has their own.
Right.
But if you're using bus mixes like on the X32, you have 12 buses available.
Yeah.
Which means 6 in-ear mixes at most, and most people have more than that on their stage.
Right.
So you can put your vocalist on a mono mix and the band on stereo mix.
I mean, take it like we're a large church. We have all this set up.
Mm-hmm.
We could buy stereo mixes for everybody. We chose not to, just because it's not totally necessary, and our singers are okay with it. The band, the musicians, the people. We have a few people that really are into the stereo mix, having panning and all of that. It makes a huge difference for them. But overall, like, people are just okay with having the mono mix.
Nice.
Yeah.
See, I just assume that everybody would want a stereo mix, because that's what I want. Like,
Yeah,
if I'm on
for
stage,
sure.
like, I've got to have a stereo mix,
Yeah.
but not everybody cares.
Yeah. This is that Neve DI. So all of our keyboards run through
And then
that stereo Neve.
what is this?
This is an interface.
Okay.
So the computer, we'll run like main stage,
Right.
that sort of thing. This is just an SSL interface that you can use an M Audio, all these different brands. We like SSL. These are comparable in price, and so just to make it all uniform, we use the SSL stuff. And then they just plug their computer, and then that's how we get signal out of the computer.
Cool.
Is using those. Each position's got one. We also have a screens here. So one here and one at the drums. And these are just program video on there, so they can see if from the person's front, instead of looking at their back, if they were to signal or say something, they can understand what's happening. Mm-hmm. If they're on camera, because this person sits right here. Same for them. Like, it kind of helps a little bit. So it was like kind of icing on the cake, but it's something that helped a little bit.
Yeah.
These guys see.
Dylan, come over here and let's look at their drum mics.
So on the toms are the Earthworks. Our Earthworks kick mic is being sent off. Was sent off for repair. So we have a 91 on the inside, Beta 91, and then we have a D6 right now as our outside mic. This is a Telefunken M80, and they make a short version of it for the snare. So they just designed it that way. 414s is overheads.
Are these triggers on here?
They are. So the triggers open gates, not for replacement. Some people have experimented with that doing live drum replacement.
Yeah.
That was a big thing in the broadcast world too, with Luke Hendrickson talking about replacing drums in your broadcast mix. Some people have tried it live, and to each his own. But yeah, this just does gates.
It's just opening the gate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our drummer runs tracks as well from this position here. We send all of our tracks down another SSL. This is a conversion for our fiber system to get these tracks into our stage racks that SSL makes. So it allows him to plug his computer into that interface and send the tracks out.
Is your PA here like original to the building, or has that been swapped out?
It's been swapped out. We started with a Vertec rig in here, and then we took a lot of power outages and power hits over the years. I don't know if you guys ever experienced that in your church, but it damaged the amps to the point that it made sense to just get rid of it, get a new PA. So the guy that was in the position before me negotiated the deal for this PA. I'm not particularly fond of it. I won't say the brand of it, but anyways, it's there. We've been working on changing it out for a few years now. So
When's that going to come?
oof, I don't know.
If you could put what you wanted to in here, what would it be?
KSL, well, D&B rig for sure. Yeah.
All right, well, Chris, thanks so much for taking us on this tour. I mean, it's really awesome what you have here, and you obviously have a wealth of knowledge. And the cool thing is you kind of do some consulting and stuff on the side. So why don't you just look into the camera and tell everybody what you have going on?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for the opportunity. It's been a blast. And yeah, I have my side business called Bridge Audio. If you guys ever need any consulting or help, you got questions of different things you might need to be doing technically in your church, sales, installs. We sell products, a lot of gaff tape, batteries, that sort of thing. So if you need any help, you can find us at Bridge Audio on Instagram.
You know, the thing that shocked me the most is the simplicity of their setup. I mean, sure, they have a high-end mixer and incredible gear to work with, but you can achieve the same thing with an entry-level digital mixer. That's what my online training, Church Sound Made Simple, teaches you to do. It even has a step-by-step process for setting up your live stream mix the same way that Victory is running their live stream mix. Learn more and get access today at churchsoundmadesimple.com. If you want to keep learning how to create great sound, check out one of the videos on your screen. If you want to see more videos like this, let me know with a like and subscribe so that I can let you know when we post a new video. We'll see you next time.